Hello.
Let's
Hello.
get like the spinning circle. We are live. Cool. Sorry, button pressing issues. You know when you press a button and it just doesn't actually press.
Yeah.
It's just a lie.
You had one job, Emma.
Today, I know. Today is one of our sort of we couldn't do Monday morning, so we're just appearing out of practically nowhere. But you guys know this. You know that although it's
We show up.
usually Monday mornings, it could be any time. Just
Keep
always
you on
be
your
ready.
toes. But
Absolutely.
the best way to keep track of when we're going to be having a discussion is to subscribe wherever you
Yeah.
see or hear this podcast. Subscribe and like all the time. Because then you'll get a notification of when we go live, or the next time you log in to Spotify or YouTube, you'll get a notification that you've got a new thing to listen/watch to. So,
Yeah.
welcome to Spines and Headlines. I am Kirstin McNeil. I am a indie publisher and author of joyful children's books, and this is my co-host Emma.
Hello, and I am a children's author and a bit of nonfiction, bit of this and that. And yeah, we're here again for another fun podcast. And just to be clear, by the way, we go live on YouTube. That's then available on YouTube if you want to watch it afterwards. There's a playlist that acts as a podcast, so I think you can do it audio only. And we're on Spotify just now, but obviously that isn't live. That goes up a day or two later. But however you prefer, we are here. And we always start with a word of the week. So, shall we get into it? I'm going first, aren't I?
Yes, you are. What's your word of the week?
Well, my word of the week, and please do tell us yours in the comments. Mine is proof, which is not a very exciting word, I appreciate. But I mean, we're going up in the world since I think scanning was my word last week. So,
yeah.
So a proof copy of a book, a printed proof, is a significant moment in the journey. The word journey has been ruined for all of us in the experience of publishing a book, because it is that moment where you physically see the book after all of the work. And on a children's book, you know, that will have started as a document, and then you're adding in sketches, and then that becomes the real artwork, and then the whole thing is formatted. It's a whole sort of evolution. So I ordered the proof on Monday morning because the aim was actually to order it a bit sooner, and all of the image digitization went really well. But then there's always little things. So there were some little editing issues where the editor flagged things, and either I had to clarify or I had a different opinion. So you end up with a to and fro about that, because you do not have to do what your editor says. You know, they're not your boss, but they know what they're
usually
talking
right.
about. They're usually right.
They're usually right, but sometimes on the rare occasion they're not right.
Exactly. You can have a difference of opinion and say, actually, I think I'm going to go with this because whatever your reasons are. So there was a little bit of that, and there were some last minute tweaks on some of the illustrations and stuff. So it just, things get pushed back. So that is ordered. So it's arriving on Friday. I will do an unboxing video, which will go up in a couple of weeks. So something to look forward to, because I am a shambles at unboxing videos, because I do find it nerve-wracking. But I have to say, overall with this book, the whole process has been very straightforward. We've worked as a team a few times before. We hit all of our deadlines. Everything was fine. There's always stuff that needs sorting, but it's all been fine, even when it was stressful, you know. So overall, so far, so good. And fingers crossed that the proof is perfect. Otherwise, I have to go back into the files and do some stuff. But it's the reason that's my word of the week is it's a really good feeling. I'm done. I'm waiting for the book to come. Sort of clearing the decks with all the things I have not been doing over the last month or so. But yeah, it's a significant moment for me.
Well done. I applaud you for doing the proof, because how many proofs have you ordered? Do you just order one copy, or do you order a couple and send one to Rhiannon, or what's your process?
I've ordered a couple. So I've ordered 3, because one for me, one for Rhiannon, the artist, and one for the Natural England team for their approval over the whole thing. Because everything, you know, they have an input. Obviously, we're the creative voices behind it. Nobody is in a real sort of authoritarian, you must do it like this. And, it is sort of I'd prefer if it was like this, Natural England respect that it's a children's book, not a encyclopedia. So there's some artistic license. We appreciate it has to be scientifically correct. I understand that Rhiannon can't illustrate certain things because they're just too abstract, and she, the whole thing, it's quite a good cohesive relationship whereby we're not going to suggest something that's not workable with. But yeah, essentially everybody looks at it, and if anyone's got a problem, then we fix it. And then if there's things, the most likely reason why I will have to order multiple ongoing proofs is if my color, what's the word, sort of not color correction, like color standardization, I suppose, is in any way off. So when the book comes, I sit with the artwork next to it and make sure that the printed one does it the same, because screens are light, not ink. So it's different. And yes, if I had lots and lots of money and lots of space, I would get the kind of screen where it can show you the color space. You can sort of set it so that it shows it realistically, but that's not something that I can do. So I'm pretty good at getting it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but as long as it's
you've got experience on that. I always end up,
so that would be the only thing.
I always end up pretty much ordering one round of proofs. For my first, I ordered 2 rounds of proofs. So like my first one, I ordered a proof and it had some pages that were just empty because some pages hadn't been finished yet. They were just sketches, but I desperately needed a physical copy for color and sizing, and it was the first, and font size. I had no idea about font size and things like that, and so and we didn't know what would actually end up in the gutter, what would end up in the, so I just said to Stephen, my illustrator for My Brother is a Vampire, we're going to print, I'm just going to print like 2 copies. I know it hasn't finished yet, but we need to understand certain things. Like I need to compare it to another book and, see what the sizes are and see what the positioning is. So proofs are really important in terms of like experimenting as well. Like if you've never done it before, you might have to do a couple of rounds of proofs. Usually mine is pretty good because I use an illustrator that is straight to digital, so it usually doesn't look any different. It depends on your paper as well. So, and I've got an idea of paper thickness from my other books, an idea of paper size. So it's like all of that stuff I already know. So I usually order about 10 copies because it's cheaper that way per book, and then the rest of the copies I will send to like early readers or influencers that I know will actually write a review about it. Like I don't take a punt. I literally, like, I've got a list of people who I will send the book to, and they will review it or they will sort of utilize it. So because they're very precious, like proofs cost a lot of money,
They
relative
do.
speaking.
And
You've got to have a budget for proofs.
Yes, and I might order one for Counting Dogs in Silly Spots, my Kickstarter book, because it is tricky without a physical book to take photos of and things. And I don't have any interior files, so I might just build a very small blank book with a front cover just as a model.
You could use it as like a notebook as your launch book. You can actually use it to plan your launch in it, and then that's a useful book. So you can just get the number of pages and the thickness that you want, because you might use it, because yours, is it going to be a square book? So it's different.
It's the same size as yours. It's so Lily the Limpet is square.
Yes,
but she is right on the edge of fitting in an A4 mailer. So if someone buys just one, then no worries. But if someone orders any more books and there's a Lily the Limpet in there, I really have to put it in a package, or it's too much for squeeze. I don't want the book to arrive damaged. So I'm going tiny bit smaller, because I think Lily is 209, no, somewhere like that, and then yours are 205, right? It's only a small bit.
I have no idea. I
But
forget.
anyway, I did look at it all. I can't remember the exact, but it's only a few millimeters smaller, but it just fits. So this is one of the things you have to consider, is whether it will fit in a mailer. I mean, in general, these days, as I say, unless I'm ordering a proof as a model or something, in general, I'm pretty close pretty quickly with a proof now. But sometimes there's just something. Whereas Milk and Cookies, I have loads of copies of that. It cost me a fortune in proofs because I had issues. I'd never digitized images before. The hardback of self-publishing, because on a hardback you have the bit where the spine sort of sticks out, so where the board's attached to the spine. Although all the artwork was central, it didn't look central because of the way visually that worked. So it took me a few goes with that. So sometimes, you really must have an actual copy, whether you need it for sort of demo purposes. You need a physical copy to look at, feel, am I happy with the size, the paper, how everything looks? Does it all look central? Does it? And you can guarantee you'll spot stuff that's wrong as well.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just an opportunity. The ideal scenario, though, is if that proof is absolutely perfect, and I always go for a perfect proof at some point, that then you say, and I'll have another 1,000 of those, because then that what you've ordered 1,000 of is that book that's in your hand. Because otherwise, if you've been back in the files and fiddling, I just have the fear that I've done something mental and I haven't
just went
seen.
straight away. I just went straight. Yeah, I just went, actually,
God,
I think I think with Pirate Penguin, I'm just thinking there were some slight tweaks to the text in terms of placement because they were too close to the gutter.
But what if you accidentally had a breakdown and wrote the F word across the whole book and forgot? What about that?
You see how different we are. I think
that's fine. I know what I did. I'm like, but no, I need to see it because I'll have done something strange.
Brilliant. I just hit send, and that's why, readers, I had a spelling mistake in my first book. So
we all have mistakes. Yeah, I've
sold all those, and I've got a new print run, and so there are only 500 copies of that book. So when I'm dead and gone, and everyone's celebrating me as a famous author, that will be worth a fortune.
I was just thinking, I think I have one.
You
I'm
do.
gonna put it in I'm gonna bubble wrap it and not let my kids read it.
Well, I was laughing because I was saying to Hunter, like, you've got a copy because it's the framed copy. So like it's almost like breaking in case of emergency.
Pay for his
the
first
emergency last surviving copy of My Brother and the Vampire.
I love it. That's so funny.
Okay,
what's
so
your
my
word of the week?
I'm gonna go for joyful. It's either joyful or hot because it's physically very hot here in the UK. There's a couple of reasons. One, I went to a really great book festival, and we're going to talk about book festivals shortly. And the other one was I actually got some joy out of Gardeners. So Gardeners is the monopoly on storing your books and sending them out to the major bookstores and also minor bookstores, or I'm not saying minor bookstores, actually smaller indie bookstores that we love. They all order books through Gardeners, and the Gardeners warehouse is effectively where everything. So typically, when you order a book from somewhere like Waterstones or your local bookstore, they go onto a system. It's connected to the Gardener's warehouse system, and it will tell them certain things. So it will tell them if the book is in stock. It will tell them the multiple different copies of the book. So if there are different editions, if you want a hardback, if you want a special cover, if you want a film cover, so it will give you all the options. It'll give the bookseller all the options, and typically will usually say the discount that bookseller gets and the time in which it will get there. Now, usually when a bookstore orders a book, they probably get it the next day. Most bookstores are getting a delivery every day or every other day to their store, and part of that delivery will be like all the books that have been ordered, either directly by the customers or through the bookstore. Now, if you are an indie author, you have a number of barriers that you have to overcome, and I'm gonna summarize it. But if you want more information, Emma has a really good video on her YouTube about it.
Thanks.
So basically, you you if you are a larger supplier, you have a different type of account with gardeners, and that is where you send them a bunch of stock, and then they will keep track of how much they're selling. And at the end of the month, they will give you an invoice and a breakdown of all the books that they've sold under that account. And then you invoice at the end of the month for that, and then you get paid the following month. So it's very slow. If you are an indie that doesn't have that, it's sort of a different contract with them. Every time a book gets ordered, you will get a notification from the Pub Easy system, and then you go onto the Pub Easy system. You see that there's an order, the order reference from gardeners, how many, which books, etc. And then you have to physically type in the discount that you're giving. And the discount that you're giving has to be the discount that you've agreed with gardeners, and usually it's 40% or higher. Um, so previously to last month, I basically was doing that, and I would get maybe 10 to 20 orders a month through gardeners for usually my family is so Scottish, because I know it's stocked in a bunch of Scottish stores in Waterstones, and they sell quite a lot of them, in terms of like they will sell at least sort of 5 a month. It fluctuates. Sometimes I get a lot and I have to send a lot, but a good month for me is about 10 books. And typically then I will get them one or two every other day, and I'll package them up and send them, and I'll send an invoice, and that invoice will also include packaging and post. So I send that and charge it. And I, for just full transparency, for my family is so Scottish, even with the discount, I probably get about £3 from that book, because it has earned out in terms of I've already paid my illustrator and I've gone through another print run. So that is my sort of my highest earning a book. Um, However, if you're in a bookshop and you're trying to say, can you stock my book? And they want to order it through gardeners, they will go into the system and it will say book not available, or not in stock, or special order, or what, a combination of those three. And if your book is on special order, it doesn't actually tell the bookstore how much discount they will get. And also, you can't return it. So, really, it's only going to be if a customer goes directly into the bookstore and says, have you got Seagrass Meadows by Emma Rosen? Um, if they do that, they will order it for them because they know the customer's going to buy it. But they're not going to order a bunch unless you're doing an event there. They're not going to order a bunch of your books. So your book is not typically going to be anywhere on their shelves. And that's the reason why family members might go into Waterstones and be like, oh, your book's not there, but it's online. Well, it's going to be online because the system says it's a book that's available. And this does cause some issues. Some bookstores just will flat refuse to stock your book. And it's just another barrier that is difficult. Now, the reason why I'm getting a bit of joy is because Gardeners is actually a really lovely, like, customer service process. Like, their people are really lovely. You phone them, it gets through to an actual person who knows information,
Yeah, they're
who
great.
can get information readily for you. If you email them, they email you back like within 10 minutes. They have really great people working for them, as opposed to Amazon, as opposed to other organizations that we're having to deal with. They are actually really lovely to speak to. Um, Pirate Penguin, as you guys know, has been nominated for an award in the Week Junior Magazine Awards. And every single link through all of that goes to a specific website that's selling the books. And the first thing I did was look, and it said the book was unavailable. And I spoke to the company, and they said we can only go through gardeners. So in order to make my book available for people to purchase through the one website that the link goes to, doesn't go to my website, I basically had to speak to gardeners. I had to agree to a 50% reduction, which actually doesn't make me any money. I think it's zero. It's a flat zero, because when it was at 40%, we were making maybe 50p. So it is like I'm not making any money from it, but I'm not losing any money from it. And Hunter's not making any money from it either. And so I had to then change my contract for Pirate Penguin and for my family is so Scottish, because I said, look, you sell a lot of these anyway, to a sort of more enterprise business account. And they emailed me. I sent them 30 books. They emailed me yesterday or the day before and said, we've sold out. Can we have another 30 books? So that was great, because the system works once you're in it.
It's brilliant.
But you have to be able to take that 50% hit. And none of my other books I could. So I said, look, only for these books can you do this. For the other books, if you get any orders, I'm happy to fulfill them in the other way. So now I have 2 business accounts with gardeners. We'll see how it works, but actually it's a business decision that I've made in order to make my book available through the current channel that is being promoted, and it's working. But yeah, just a sort of bit of a behind the scenes in terms of like the hurdles that we have to jump through or jump across.
I mean, I think you explained that really well. And when I'll link my video below, but I agree with you. They're lovely. They're a great company. What I would love to see as an indie is a system whereby if you are on back order, which I am, they don't stock my books, and your titles other than Pirate Penguin and My Family is So Scottish are, I would love there to be a system whereby people can see what the wholesale discount is. They can see all that information, even if that discount is quite high. And also that I have information on where they want that to be so that it's appealing for the customer. Because it might be that I make a decision that I can't sell that way because it's not financially viable. But for instance, I went through a phase of looking up bookshops that were on the coast around the country, and also aquariums and things like that, emailing them, sending them sell sheets about my books, saying you can get them from gardeners. This is all the information. I think they'd be perfect for your setting. It's funny how I only had one from loads and loads of emails that took any stock, if that's what it looks like on the system, because the only way you find out how it looks to a bookseller is by making friends with your local indie bookshop and getting that information. So as I said in my video, I don't have a gripe with gardeners in the same way that I do with certain other massive companies that I moan about a lot. But it's
a simple change they could make.
Yeah, and it would not remove a barrier, because it would still be hard in terms of meeting those costs, but it would make our books appealing to bookshops. And one thing I would love to see, if a friend of mine, as you said, goes into a shop and says, hey, I'd like to buy, let's say, Pirate Penguin, and they went, sure, have a look at the picture. Oh, that book looks quite cool. Oh, it won this award. Oh, do you know what? I'm going to buy 3. So they sell one to the customer, the other 2 go on the shelf. All those sold. Or I'm going to add a couple more of those to my next order. And that's how you can get stocked in bookshops. Because they wouldn't have heard of you or I, probably. We're small authors. But our customer base can act as a sales team, but not if they look on the system and go, oh, there's no discount, no returns, no thank you. I'll just order the one for the customer. So it just would be, as you say, an easy fix. But that's fantastic that you've managed to go to the other system and that it's working.
Yeah,
And
I mean, it's
hopefully,
let's be fair, it's only working because it's up for an award that's national, and clearly people are looking at that link and buying the book. Um,
fantastic.
I want to say one more joyful thing that happened that I've just
Yes.
remembered, and it's about sort of word of mouth. So one of the librarians that I am in touch with regularly, she's actually the master librarian of the borough. She's like the whole borough librarian. She's amazing. She's called October, and she pinged me the other day, and she's with a picture of her as a pirate holding up the book, saying, "You've got a whole class of reception classes from X school that came into my one of my libraries today, and they're all obsessed with Pirate Penguin now." And I was just like,
Oh,
"Oh, that's lovely. That is so nice." It's a reminder actually that for me to send an email to that school to say, here's a discount for your parents to buy the book because you've recently had a visit from the library. And that's a kind of low key way of, getting more people involved in reading the book, because the kids have already seen it in the library, and it's low pressure. It's like, not, you don't have to buy the book. But yeah, I just want to offer a discount to that school. But it's just so
that's
lovely, like
gorgeous.
seeing people enjoy the book. Like I bumped into this woman who's at my gym, and she was like, "Oh, like my I saw you with your son, and are you the is he the Pirate Penguin person?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "My kids
Oh,
read that every night." And it was just like really
oh,
lovely to sort of have those exchanges. It's very wholesome.
it is.
Speaking
It
of
really,
wholesome,
yeah.
shall we talk about shall we talk about book festivals?
Let's,
Very, very
especially,
busy year for very busy time of year for book festivals, this is.
it is, yes. I'm gonna just put a banner up for those of us who are watching this as a video. I
Mhm.
think that's the longest word of a week we've ever done.
It
Yeah,
is
but
actually,
we had
and
lots to
you know what?
say.
The reason is because 'cause we've only got one topic to talk about, so
We're
hopefully
both
word of the week
waffly
was
today.
also, like, informative rather than just
Yes.
talking about us. Um, excuse me. We're gonna talk about book festivals because summer tends to be book festival season. Um, Rightly so, especially for children's book festivals, because you need stuff to do in the summer with the kids in the summer holidays. We both didn't go to the self-publishing show, so we're not going to talk about trade. We're going to talk about the actual book festivals that you can attend as a reader, or potentially you're an author looking to get into book festivals. And we just want to kind of talk about what makes a good book festival, what kind of experiences we've had. And I'm going to start with a really lovely festival that I went to on the weekend. Even though it was really, really hot, it was enjoyable. We managed to do about 4 hours before the kids got too bored, like not too bored, but too bored of the heat, um, and too sort of fed up. But it's called the Woke Babies Summer Festival. And Woke Babies was set up, I think, about 8 years ago. And it was basically to encourage more. They started off as like a box of books, like a subscription box, to send out more books from Black authors, Black illustrators, Black British illustrators as well. Um, and they've kind of expanded to more of a community-based organization, and they had this festival of which our author friend Onigne was going to, and Claire Lenny was also going to. Onigne was actually reading one of her books there, and Claire was going, one of our friends, Joanne, was going as well, but she was ill, so she couldn't attend. And so it was in South Bank, in central London. You paid for I think the ticket, the family ticket was about £21. With that ticket, both my children got to pick a free book. And this was like a proper book. It wasn't like, World Book Day books. They also got like a World Book Day book in their bag. We got a tote bag each. They got to pick like like an actual free book. They're all books that are like in the bookstores, priced at £8, £9. There were board books there, there were picture books there were novels. It was such a great, it was a massive bookshelf full of like all these different books from Black authors, and it was really amazing to see. It was just even to go there and to like see and to see how many amazing authors we have from the Black community in the UK. It was really heartfelt, and I felt really like positive about like publishing and the opportunities at the moment. Even though it is a bit bleak, I just felt like, yeah, we have amazing authors in this country. And so they got to choose a book. They had tent with shade, they had reading, they had some hype guys like getting the kids up and dancing. They had plenty of like areas of shade. They had a big sand pit. They had an area for toddlers. They had events going on through the day, different things. They had like t-shirt drawing. They had graffiti your name. They had like a basketball thing. They had like local businesses, like Black owned businesses that you can buy like dolls from, books from, hair accessories from. They had a barbecue. And for me, it just felt like they hadn't oversubscribed. So it didn't feel like really heaving or really busy. They had such a great community feel about it. They had amazing authors and illustrators throughout the day. So you had Dapo Adiola, who illustrated Look Up, Clean Up, Speak Up. He also illustrated all of the merchandise for the actual day. They had Laura Henry Elaine, who is the author of Jojo and Gran Gran, Marley and Me. They had Oninye. They had Tola Okunwu. I don't know how to pronounce her surname, sorry, who has written Onika and the Academy of the Sun series. So all of these like really big names, for me anyway, in children's publishing, were there doing talks and doing like illustration bits. And you just saw the vibe from it was like loads of fun families of different like age children, really engaged children. And it felt really, even though it was a really hot day, it did feel really chill. And I did feel like I could like let my kids run off into a corner and sort of, play a little game somewhere and not be worried about them going too far or whatever. And it just was a really great day. So I just wanted to give Woke Babies their flowers because they've created something that is really amazing. And I do think they're going to need a bigger venue next year because I feel like this can expand. And just sort of in terms of like diversity at book festivals, there's not enough. I feel like some festivals, whether it's children's or not children's, they're still playing it safe with the same authors every year because they know that those will sell. Um, and they're really missing on a lot of really amazing authors that do have people turning up to their events. And so this is a good example of people do want to hear from these authors. So yeah, that was my experience this weekend. What experience do you have, Emma, from book festivals that do it well?
So yeah, I mean, I've done a couple, and the interesting thing about book festivals is sometimes they're quite sort of small and local and called a book festival, literature festival, but it might just be sort of a gathering in one space with a sort of area for talks almost, or they can be a much bigger, what you might have in mind, like multi space event type thing. But I've done some bigger ones, I've done some smaller ones. Captivating Kelp Forests was launched at the Isle of Wight Story Festival, which was tremendous to have the opportunity to be a part of that for a book launch. We did 2 events, and the event that we did we did sort of an activity event. So I had a little writing table, Rhiannon had an illustrating table, the scientists had their science bit, we had a film going, and families were sort of free flowing through, and it was so lovely. I remember Rhiannon had one child who loved one of Rhee's worksheets, which was sort of come up with your own creature, to the point where she'd made so many pieces of artwork that Rhee made like a gallery, and we had like an art exhibition for this kid. But it was such a cute event. And then we did an actual official launch where we read the book and did a more structured talk, I suppose. And that one, we were competing with a big name. I shan't mention them. They were lovely, and it meant that although our event was free and theirs was ticketed, it's still, everyone was going to theirs. We had about 4 or 5 kids go to our one. But the sweet thing about it was at the end, we went, so that's it now, it's official, like this book is out there in the world. What should we do? Thinking of like priming the kids to give it a round of applause or shout something. One of the kids went, we need to sing it happy birthday. So he sang Happy Birthday, Dear Kelp Book. It was just gorgeous. But such an amazing thing to be part of. So we had one event where I think we had 100 families. That's the figure that's jumping to mind. The other where there were 4 or 5. But the event as a whole had such a variety of different things going on, and big names, small names, local people. And the Isle of Wight is the kind of space where, because not that much happens, but I suppose it's a small community.
It's a community
that are isolated.
in itself, isn't it? Yeah, it's like you have to be a community in the Isle of Wight.
Yeah, so if something happens, they go, basically. So it was well attended.
I guess also like if something is happening on the Isle of Wight, it's the only thing happening that weekend on the Isle of Wight. Whereas like if something's happening in London, there are 400 other things happening in London.
Exactly. Yeah, so that was awesome. That was a couple of years ago. But I do want to shout out a festival that I'm going to be at in a few weeks, which is the Canterbury Children's Festival. And it's in its 2nd year. So our friend Claire Linney was involved last year and will be involved this year as well. And so this was put together by 2 people. I think they're a couple, but I don't know that for sure. So it's two people. I might be making assumptions. This is where they're watching like, no, we're just friends. I don't know. Whatever. The 2 people, they know each other in some capacity. And they it's all put together with like grants and fundraising.
The 10th to the 12th of July, isn't it? It's on between the 10th and the 12th of July.
In Canterbury. And the lovely thing, I think, is that they're using Canterbury and the surrounding areas sort of as the space. So some events are in Chapters Bookshop, which is in Surrey, which is like a bit like a suburb. It technically is a different place, but you know where it like gets absorbed into a city. So it's a bit like that. There's some bits in the centre of town. There's bits at the Beanie, which is like a museum and a library sort of community space, I suppose. I'm personally in the Franciscan gardens, the gardens of the monastery, which is perfect because it's all about sustainable farming and gardens and, you know. So for my one, it is ticketed. A lot of the events aren't, but for my one, the ticket gets you into the gardens because there is an entrance fee. But you can pay a bit more and pre-order the soils book so it'll be ready for you, getting it at a discount price. So it's up to people if they want to do that. There's no pressure to buy the book. So they can either just have the entrance to the space or they can have the book as well. And I'm doing a sort of book reading in the gardens. A few other people are too. So over the weekend, there's a whole load of events. I was at Wildwood, which is a sort of wildlife park, I suppose, but that's about British nature last year. So I'm assuming they've got things on in Wildwood, but they're going quite a way out. They're going to Herne Bay, which is probably 5 or 6 miles away, and doing some bits in the bookshops there. So it's becoming sort of almost a Kentish festival. But what I love about it, I think they've got a really nice balance between known authors. So for example, they've got the person, I can't remember the name, who does the Skandar series.
Oh yeah, A.F. Stedman.
Yes. So they've got like well-known people and they've got local authors and they've got people who are from Kent and also someone like Claire who's coming down from London. So there's a really lovely mixture. They're also doing, so Claire is part of the schools program where I think there's 5 authors who earlier on in the year, they said, right, if you want a school visit, let us know. And so these authors are doing school visits across the city. So it's been really well put together, and they also are a fee-paying festival. So I love the fact that when I've done other festivals, it's been, well, you might sell some books. And especially if I'm actually putting together an event, that I've had to plan, deliver, etc. I
It's a
really
whole weekend.
appreciate it is, but I like that they recognize that and they're not kind of going,
Yeah.
because they'll always be paying their big names, you know. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that as a little guy, they haven't just gone, well, it's good for you to be a part of. They've gone,
Yeah.
okay, what do you
Exposure, you
charge?
know.
So that's really lovely, and it's lovely to be there for the second year. And I think they do a fantastic thing. Say they get grants, they do fundraising. If you're local, please go, because
Yeah. I
if
might go. I might go and see you.
you should come along to, like,
Yeah.
the whole shebang is going to be brilliant. Have a look at who they've got, because if people don't go to these things, like I was saying with the Isle of Wight, people do go to stuff, but I think, you know, this is a really populous area. Canterbury's got loads of stuff on, and then there'll be stuff on by the coast. I actually have two things on the day when I'm doing the event. I'm going straight from the event to something else. But so if people don't go, I know everyone's always busy, and I know I've said this on here before, but if you don't take part, these things go away.
Yeah.
So
This is
you
true.
need to support them, especially if it's free. Like, you can just go to your local museum and go to a story time.
Yeah.
Your kids will get so much more than you think out of it. I'm not even publicising it for my own sake. I'd love people to come to my bit. And if I'm there on my own, that will be sad, but it's okay. I'll read it to the monks. I don't know if there's still monks there, or just to the daisies. I don't know. I think my daughter's coming, so I'll read it to her. It's fine, but just overall.
I agree. Just go. I mean, this is how I know a bit more about the London Children's Literature Festival, which used to be Barnes Children's Literature Festival, celebrated 10 years last year. And it started off like Canterbury, right? With a couple of people who just thought, do you know what? We can create a festival here. It'd be really lovely on the Barnes Green. And it started out very similar, and now it is a it's won a volunteering award for the King's Honours. It's basically the schools program is throughout the whole year and is expanding across London, which is why now they're calling it London Children's Literature Festival, because they do north, east, south, and west London in terms of their outreach for schools. My favorite as an author and as a volunteer, my favorite time to volunteer is during a schools program, because the weekend Barnes weekend is amazing. And again, it's this weekend coming, so it's on the 27th, I think, 6th of June. And you go and it takes over the whole of Barnes, and there's events in the churches and there's events on the green and there's loads of free stuff, and it's just a great day to hang out. And you might see, Axel Scheffler go off on his bike, and you'll see all these different, like, really lovely authors that attend there. And they've always got entertainment for the crowds and all that sort of stuff, and it's a really lovely vibe. But there's something special about the schools one, because that's whole classes of school attending, whole classes of children. Whereas on the weekend, it's like two kids and a parent, two kids and a parent, one kid and two parents. And so the noise that they create, that it's almost like a rock star is turned up, and it is an author or an illustrator, and they listen for an hour to this illustrator talk about, how they wrote the book, or about different characters, or there's a draw along. And the noise that these children create is unbelievable. It gives me goose pimples. It is so inspiring and joyful and heartfelt, because they just get such joy from books. And then you go around the festival on the weekend, and there's kids everywhere just sitting down under a tree reading a book, or talking to each other about their favorite book. And every single child will find something new, or find a new author, and there's like a book tent and they can browse the books. I was at the ticket office last year, and tickets sell out, but we try and make some available throughout the day. And there were parents coming up saying, oh, my kid loves this, what would they like? And I would be like, oh, well, this person's coming, Sophie Hen is happening in half an hour's time. They'll love that if they like drawing. And that child will go home with a new book and exploring a new author. And this is one of the reasons also why festivals need to diversify who they invite, because this is one of the key moments in a child's year where they will discover a new author, and how wonderful would it be if they discovered a new author from a different background to them, or a new author that looks like their friend or doesn't look like them, but has characters in it that they can explore new topics in, like refugees, or people who are carers. So this is why it's so important for well established festivals to diversify who they invite, because they know they're going to get the crowds. And also, this is why it's so amazing that Canterbury include indie authors, because that what a great thing to do for such a new a book festival. And I got to say, the
Yeah.
other thing, that the other type of festival is an asynchronous festival. And I think one that does really well is, and relatively new, is a Farsdown festival. So Farsdown is one of these like micro climates within South London. It's not that big. So what they've done is they've called it Farsdown Festival, but they've used the different libraries across South London to do something like every weekend throughout May, I think it was. And so it's a way of sort of spreading the festival vibe, but not necessarily have it on one day or one weekend. And yeah, the school outreach programs are incredible. Just one, I know we've run over, but one final shout out to the Booktastic festivals, who I think predominantly work in the north of England. They are a very small charity organisation. Their whole ethos is around getting to areas of the UK that are suffering from potential illiteracy. And so it will be more poorer areas, it will be less subsidized areas, areas of where that don't have spaces for children to explore, read, etc. And they put on free festivals, free author visits, and I think that's incredible. And they have ties with the big publishers to do that. So, I know we do avoid talking about the big publishers in a positive way, but this is how big publishers are giving back to the community, and it's through these that it's really helping. So, again, like if you see something, attend it, even if it's for an hour. If it makes such a difference, and it's harder for organizations like this to get funding.
It is. And those people who are putting that work in, organising festivals, which sometimes they might be able to pay themselves and sometimes they aren't, they're doing it, in a volunteer capacity. And all the people who help, there's always a huge team of volunteers. It's an amazing thing to do. And I think that it's wonderful when you see these events where they have a nice mix of free bits that recognise that for some people, a ticket might be a barrier to entry. So where appropriate, depending on the nature of the festival, it's really lovely when there's free stuff going on, as well as some paid bits. Like I said, it's fair enough that for my event, you have to pay to get into the space, because you do have to pay to get into the space. But I just think making it accessible sort of economically, making sure that there are events that appeal to different people, but not just appeal to different people, but also someone might try something that's not an author they're normally drawn to, or not, and find something new that they're interested in, or learn about something new. And also, of course, that it's accessible in other ways, that there's, people with all sorts of different situations are going to be able to access some of the events. And I think when people have thought about all this stuff, these events are just sensational. And
really
the other
great.
end of that is people going and enjoying it and being a part of it. And if they're fundraising, being a part of that too, because it's the only way this stuff happens. But yeah, we've mentioned some examples of some really good ones, and please leave in the comments your favorites, and any tips about getting into festivals, because we've both been fortunate to feature in a few local ones and to have got some opportunities. But yeah, as always, anyone sharing bits and pieces, please do share your experiences. But yeah, we've really talked today, clearly in that kind of a mood.
Final thing. What have you been reading this week?
I really like this. This is my book club read. Pachinko by Minjin Lee. holding it up for those people watching the video. So this is, I'll read you the synopsis because I'll do a terrible job otherwise. It's based in Korea in 1911. So teenaged Sunja, I might be saying that wrong, the adored daughter of a crippled fisherman, falls for a wealthy Yakuza. He promises her the world, but when she discovers she's pregnant and discovers her lover is married, she refuses to be bought. Facing ruin, she accepts an offer of marriage from a gentle minister passing through on his way to Japan. Following a man she barely knows to a hostile country where she has no friends, Sunja will be forced to make some difficult choices, and her decisions will echo through the decades. Really, really enjoying this. It's amazingly written. And our book club have been for a time choosing books from different cultures. And often ones we know absolutely nothing about. We'll just look up sort of diverse books. And I think this was the case with this one. And so far, we're all really enjoying it. But I'm how far in? About 100 pages into a 500-page book. But I'm really enjoying it. So big recommend from me there.
I have been reading Lobster, which is a poetry collection by Holly McNeil, and I got it for Christmas last year, and I dipped in and out of it, but I'm actually reading it chronologically because her poems are in like chapters, and she's got a lot of narrative around like behind the poem or what inspired it, or just her free-flowing thought. And I absolutely love it. I messaged her and said, I read this poem and cried on the tube, and then I read the next poem and laughed. And then on my way home, I had a spring in my step because I was reassured that the thoughts in my head are not unique, and that someone else has them and has articulated them. And then I went home and I voice noted one of her poems to my friend. And so poetry, every time I read poetry, I'm reminded of how much of a community poetry is, and how much like it is about sharing. It is spoken word effectively written down on the paper. And Holly McNish does such an incredible job of doing spoken word and also articulating it on the page and connecting with everybody who reads it. And so I'm really enjoying it, and I sort of picking it up and like actually setting myself, a target of like read this for 20 minutes, or read a couple of poems a day, because I never regret reading a poem. Honestly, it's just, especially one of hers.
I saw her Lobster tour.
5 stars. She's so good.
I really recommend. Yeah, go see her live. Anyone who hasn't, a really good one to go with your girlfriends, your mum, your sister. It's so good. And when I saw her on the Lobster tour, she was supported by Michael Pedersen. He was brilliant as well.
She's doing a tour with she's doing a few dates with Harry Baker, who's also one of my favorite poets.
Yes, I love him.
And also Len Perry, who is another poet that I absolutely love. She does poems in Scots as well as Scottish, and some of my favorite poems are from her. So yeah, I mean, spoken word is wonderful, and it just does make me feel better about the world.
Yeah, no, she is brilliant, and anyone who hasn't checked out her books, please do so. Lovely. What a nice way to finish. So yeah, do we know our plan for next week? Have we talked about it? I can't remember. Are we here on Monday?
I think we're taking it. I think we're doing at some point on Monday next week. We are doing it next week.
Anyway, as we said at the beginning of this, just expect the unexpected, especially in this season. Things are a lot.
And subscribe. So, subscribe, and you'll never miss one.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much for listening, as always, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.